Okay, so this is the spreadsheet, and if you start on the left, you get your major capital items as is prescribed management rule 22.1a, the present condition 21b, etc., maintenance, dates, and the expected life of the item, and then the accumulated reserve fund to past contributions.
Right.
Now, at the bottom, I've got the section types and the unit types in our complex. We have the two types. So if you want to use this, you will have to add the different types of sections that you have. Yeah. For this, because when I work with the spreadsheet, when I change anything here, it will immediately reflect on what the levy will be for the two types of sections. But this isn't really necessary if you have that information in your standard budget that you do for your complexes. I just like to see immediately what the effect is going to be when I fiddle with the figures. Okay, now the first thing, of course, is listing all your major capital items.
Right.
That is the easy part. Is listing it. The second part is what is the condition of that item? How do you determine that? Now, the managing agents, if you run a number of schemes, how are you going to determine what the conditions of the capital items are?
What we've been doing, wherever possible, we've been getting a professional consultant.
Yes.
To do a survey. Because even as a managing agent, I don't feel that we are qualified to answer some of these questions. And 90% of the trustees also not qualified.
That's right. Yes. That is very important, that if you're not sure, is to get these professionals and let them do a survey of your scheme. And I've got an example here of one that I've received of a scheme in Johannesburg. This is a good example of one. This is for a large scheme of 236 units, where they give a detailed report on the methodology and applicable legislation, how they went about in compiling this, which I like very much. And then with the locality plan, satellite imagery, the sectional plans, and then they start with their report. And this is what it looked like. You can see.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, so they started at the gate, went around the fence, the boundary, the intercom, etc., and then they give their remarks, the level of urgency, and the maintenance due. You can see currently, this is a very neglected scheme. So they're going to have to do a lot of work in the short term. Okay, so once you get this, then you just transfer all these items onto your spreadsheet. Is that how you would do it?
Basically, yes. In fact, most of the consultants that we use will actually draw up a spreadsheet similar to yours.
Yes, that's right. This is what they also did. This is what theirs look like. You can see it is very similar, except that mine differ with these columns here, some of them. Mine is strictly according to the requirements of the Act, but it basically do the same thing. So you have your major capital items, you list them, you group them together, and then your present condition, I've kept it simple by just saying excellent, poor, good, or fair. And then the next column is when do this particular item need to be maintained, repaired, or replaced. Now, repairs is a bit of a strange one because you only repair something when it breaks. So you can see there's very little information or dates in this column because you don't know when something is going to need to be repaired. The next one, you need to determine is the expected life of that item, and that is something that the professional should advise you on. Now, because we've started with this in 2017, and you start working with the thing, you get, when you inspect the stuff, you get to see how long things last. For example, painting, we painted 3 years ago, and here at the Cape, we know that we need to paint about every 10 years. And fascia boards, for example, that is something that basically lasts a lifetime. It's something that you will maintain every year and so on. Okay. Then the next column is your estimated cost. This is also something you can see it is rounded off to the nearest 1,000 Rand. This is not something that you would figure out to the nearest Rand or cent. It's a cost estimate. You need to estimate what it's going to cost to do the painting of the roofs in present value. What's it going to cost if you do that now? And as you work with the stuff, then you update this regularly. You know, whenever I do something, for example, the roofs, the walls, the doors and the gates, I update these figures regularly when I work with it. So this is a living document that you need to update and work with regularly. It is not something that you can give attention to only once a year. Okay, is everybody still okay with this?
Yeah, the expected life, is that from the last or previous major work done on it? Or is that once the work is done in let's say 2025, the expected life is a further 10 years beyond 2025? Or is it beyond today?
No, that is the expected life. You know, for example, painting, you need to do every 10 years. Let's have a look at another one. And the gates and the gate motors is also a good example. This stuff usually between 5 and 10 years needs to be replaced. And you can see here it needs to be replaced in 2025. The batteries, I know that the batteries only last about 3 years on average. Then you need to replace it. And the replacement cost for the 3 batteries presently is about 2,000 Rand a battery. That gives me 6,000 Rand that I'm going to need to spend in 2023. That is, you can see here, I've marked it in blue. 2023 is the upcoming financial year. So these batteries will need to be replaced in the next financial year. And the thing is, when you get closer to the year that you need to do work, 2025, 26, in between, I do get budget quotes from people to do certain work. And then I update this and keep this updated, especially, you know, the fencing that we put up. We put this up in 2016. It cost us 330,000 Rand at the time. But you can now see that the people that did the fencing for me, they told me that with the escalation of the prices in steel, it's going to cost us now R1 million to put up that fence. So that is the figure that I put in here. Always the latest figure that you can get. But I know that only needs to be looked at again in 2031. The present condition, the dates that you plan to maintain or replace, the expected year. And this also doesn't need to be exact. You can see it's an estimate. But as you get closer to the time, you adjust these expected life years. Because in the beginning, when we started, we weren't sure. But as time goes by and we speak to suppliers and stuff, they give us good information, and then we just update this. Now, this one, accumulated reserve fund, That is your past contributions. And you will see prescribed management rule 22.2 requires that this be shown in your maintenance plan. So how do you calculate if you have in your reserve fund 1.1 million rand? How do you allocate the values to the various items? Okay, they give you the formula, it is there. Your present value, your cost estimate, minus your accumulated reserve divided by the expected life. That will give you these values. But I've built it in. So all you need to do at the end of the financial year, when you know how much money you have available in your reserve fund, you just enter that figure in here. And the spreadsheet will automatically.
Okay, Tina.
Yes.
Tinas, while your pointer is on that 1.1 million,
yes,
the figure above it is 5499.
Yes.
Can you open that? Is that a formula that calculates that 5499?
That is right. It applies that formula. There you can see it is
5499 there. That's 57. Okay, that's your total reserve. Fine, that because we do have that figure, and you're multiplying that by K. What is it? I can't read it. K55, is it?
Yes, K55.
K55. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, because this is your major capital items is gardens.
Right.
So that is fine. That is the formula. J55.
J55 is not shown. It's a hidden column.
Let me unhide it for you so that you can see. Yeah.
Right. Let's have a look now. So it's J39 times K58. K58 is the grand total. Oh, you've got a percentage in there. Okay. All right. No,
yes.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Because this percentage, this is also a formula. Because here you can see I've just copied that. This column is just a copy of that one. Whenever I make a change here, it will change it here. And this gives me the total value of the cost of our major capital items if we need to replace everything today. That is the value, 4 million rand. Then the percentage is this amount is calculated by that formula. So it takes this amount and divide it by your total, and that will give you the percentage. And then again, you see this will be 30% of your of this total. These values in gray are the percentage of the total. But then you also want to calculate what is the breakdown items. What percentage is this of that total? And it will give you these percentages.
1,000 over so it's 1 million over 1.2 million. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So then it just applies these percentages to this figure here, and it will automatically populate this for you. Very simple.
It is. It's very logical. I would hate to add a different row, but that's another matter.
Yeah, you mean like this one here?
You've got the roofs there, so you've got 1.1 up to 1.7. I would hate to add another item called 1.8.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, with all the formulas that you've got built in there.
Well, all you do is you copy this whole row. Is to say copy. And then you just change that to 1.8 and add whatever that is, swimming pool. Or whatever it is. Okay. And then you just change this information here. So that will remain hidden because you've copied everything over. It copied the formulas over. So if we change this to say, make it 8 years, and we make that 160,000, you can see it automatically do it for you. So that is the way to do it. If you want to add a row, you just copy the one row and paste it into the blank one. It will copy everything over for you.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to hide this again. And there you have it. Now, why is this important that you have this breakdown? You have accumulated in your reserve fund. Why didn't they just say, okay, you have 1.1 million in reserve, spend it as you please? Why did they require that we do this? Somebody want to take a guess?
No, but we have only previously taken that 1.1 million that's previously been put aside. And if you don't do that, which we haven't done previously, you're going to find that you're going to overspend on painting and you're not going to have enough left for the barge boards or the roofs or whatever.
Exactly. But also, if you have to do something, you're now in between and something unexpected happened that you didn't budget for in your current financial year. Say, for example, here we can see 2023, the fascia boards. There's a big storm and it blows off your fascia boards and you now need to do some repairs on it. What this tells you is that you have 20,443 Rand available to do that particular repair. Is that clear?
Yeah, that's fine. That would make sense. Yeah.
Yes. So when people come and ask you how much money do we have available to do the painting of the main buildings, that's 290,000 presently available. For windows and doors, we need repairs on that. Currently, there's 4,000 Rand available. We don't have everything, but we have some funds available to do some repairs. This is why we need to do this. Batteries. I've got 1,500 Rand. For the batteries, for example, we need to replace that the upcoming financial year this year. I only have 1,600 available. I require 6,000 Rand. So how much is short? Then I update this. So I will need another 4,500. So I need to change this to make that 4,500 so that I have 4,500 plus 1,500 will give me the 6,000 Rand. So then I can do this battery replacement in the upcoming year. So this is then how you work for your upcoming financial year. What do I have available? I'm going to only need to do that in 2029, got 52,000 Rand available. How much do I need to save every year so that when 2029 comes, I will have the 200,000 Rand. So the things that don't need to be done in the upcoming financial year, I've marked it in blue. That is the years I need to do it. So the figure there was calculated based on what the previous figure there was. For example, that go back to that fencing. I'm going to do that again in 2031. But that figure was based on a previous value that I had in there. So this also needs to be updated. Now in this column, in your upcoming financial year, this is the column that you work with. Now you can see there's also columns hidden here, K to S. Now what I have here is my history of my previous years. And here I can see when I did what. And you can see in this past 5-6 years, we had a lot of things done, all this blue. Okay, and that is what it cost us every year. The bottom here, this will give me my total for I'm going to need for the reserve fund. And you can see in the beginning, we spend a lot of money on maintaining, getting things up to scratch. So this is my history. So I don't delete this in the spreadsheet. I keep it there so that I can go back and see when did we do this stuff and what provision did we make for that.
Okay.
So this is the one that I'm currently working with. I don't touch any of that of the forthcoming years because in here is formulas. I only work with this, and this will update it and do a calculation for what I need every year to save for this item until it needs to be done in 2029. And this is where this little tool comes in to do those calculations for you. So let's take an example, painting. In 2029, we're going to do it at the present value. It's going to cost 200,000 Rand. You can see here, cost estimate 200,000 Rand. We've saved 52,000. It is that figure that it fetched from there. And then term years remaining. I've got 7 years remaining, including the year that I'm budgeting for. It gives you 7 years. And it will calculate the annual amount that you need to collect. And then it gives you a sum at the end of the term, present value, you will have your money if you save this amount every year for the next 7 years. So you can see from the previous calculation, it is a bit under, but it is still very close. The escalation that I've built in here is about 7% per year. So I can just update this to make this say 21,000. Enter. And you can see it will automatically update those years for you. Okay, so you only work with this column. The formulas are there. When you make changes here, it will automatically update everything else for you, right? So, but if you say, for example, you determine now, okay, 2029 is going to be too long. We need to do this in 2027. That gives you 5 years. We need to do this in 5 years instead of 7 years. So all I do is I change that to 5 years. Say I need 29,500 a year. 29,500. And it will calculate that. And all I do is I change that to the year that I need to do it in, change the color to blue, and just make that one white, like that. So that is how you play with the thing.
Yeah, I didn't quite see how you started off that. When you're talking about bringing it forward by 2 years, which figures you changed to 29,500?
Let's do that again. We've planned for the painting to be done in 2029. That's why it's highlighted in blue. That is another 7 years that we have time to collect 200,000 Rand, because we only have 53,000 Rand available for the painting of the roofs. If we're going to do it in 2029, it is 7 years. It tells us we need to collect 21,000 Rand per year for the painting of the roof. So that's why I've updated this figure. And it recalculated the amounts for the next 7 years, what I need to collect those years, so that when 2029 comes and I have to paint, I will have the 200,000 Rand available. But of course, as I get closer to the time, say in 2027, I will get quotes again and update this to make sure that when the time comes, we will have sufficient funds to do that. So let's say now we've decided no, 2029 is too long. The place is looking bad. We need to do that earlier. So let's make it, we need to paint in 2027 instead of 2029. So we just change the color there. Change the color there. White. Okay, then this term remaining changes from 7 years to 5 years. So we need to recalculate 5. Now you can see we need 29,500 Rand per year, so that when 2027 comes, we will have enough money, say 29,500.
Okay, that was the bit I missed last time round. I see where it's come from now. Okay.
Yes, so 29,500. You can see I round it off. Okay, and then you can see, calculate you for the next 4 years, plus the current financial year, what you need to collect so that by 2027, you will have your 200,000 rand. Is everybody with me on this?
I'm a little bit lost, Tinus. This is Mr. B. I'm the one who came in a little bit late. Could you please just go back a bit for me on the accumulated reserve fund? You have got amounts there. I'm not sure how those amounts get in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
All you need to know is at the end of the financial year, you will know how much money you have in your reserve fund account. In our case, it is 1.1 million. And you can see here, there's a note there. Insert the balance of the reserve fund from the audited financial statement from the last financial year. Okay, it doesn't need to be the audited financial figures. At the end of the year, you will know how much money you have in your reserve fund, and that is the figure that you type in here. And this will calculate the past contributions for each line item above. So say you have in your reserve fund, you only have 550,000 rand. Then I just need to recalculate this. And it will recalculate these values for you. It does it automatically. Are you with me, Mr. B?
Yes. Could you maybe go into any one of those cells? I want to see which cell it takes the values from.
Yes, the formula.
Yeah.
You have your major items, say your walls and fencing. You have this figure. And this figure is made up of the breakdown of your individual items. So it gives you that amount. And that amount is a percentage of the total. And these amounts here are a percentage of that. So how do we calculate that? The formulas is hidden here because you don't really need to show it. Here it is. Here's the percentages that it calculates. Let's take, for example, this one. You can see this column is just a copy of that one. And what this does, if you take that one, tells you that this percentage is, there's a calculation. It's cell I42 is this value divided by I58. Gives you that percentage. So it is this value divided by this value gives you the percentage. So you can immediately see that walls and fencing is about 30% of the total of your capital items. And then these percentages, of course, then is this amount divided by that amount gives you this percentage.
I got it. Thank you very much, Tinus.
Okay. Yeah. So of course, so it is there and it will do that calculation for you. Okay, now you can see these guys don't have enough money. It recalculated and calculated that you only have 26,000 Rand available. You want to paint the roofs. So how much do we need to make provision here for the next 5 years if we're going to do it in 2027? Now, I need to go back to my calculator, this one here. And now you can see it is calculated that automatically for me. It's 5 years. I now need 34,700. Sorry, 34,800. There. And it will recalculate it for you for the next 5 years until you need to do it. You can see it. I only typed in the figure there. That happens automatically. So your working column is the upcoming financial year. You only work in this column. And you color the cells like we've done here. If you decide to change it, bring it forward or move it out, you can move it out. And if you're going to move this out to say 10 years, so now that can be done in 2032. That is 10 years, make that 10 years. So, okay, now we only will need to collect 17,000 Rand, 17,400, and we will have the money available if we want to do it then. Like this one. So that is how it works. Any questions?
No, I'm happy.
Happy, thanks.
Okay, so then, of course, here at the bottom is your total that I need for the next financial year for my reserve fund, 132,000. And at the bottom here, this figure here is used here to calculate my levies for the two types of sections that we have. So this formula uses that figure there to calculate my reserve fund levy for each and every section. So if you have sections of different sizes, then you need to add them here. But this isn't really necessary, because if you have made provision for your levy calculations in your standard budget, then this is not necessary. But I like to have it here so that I can immediately see what the impact is going to be when I play around with these figures. And of course, this carries over to my financial year budget over there. This figure's here, and the levies are calculated here. You can see it is just brought over the reserve fund figures from here. Okay, that's up to you how you do it. Okay, so what is important then, if you do it like this, is because this formula references that cell there. Every year, financial year, the next year, I needed to change the reference from this cell to that cell, because for the next year, I'm going to hide this column. And then I put in there 2024 so that I can know which year I'm working with, 2024. And then, of course, I have to, now I've only got 9 years, so I have to add another year at the end year. Okay, what I need to do, because I've got my calculator there, I don't want this to encroach on there. So what I need to do is I say insert column before, and then I do that, copy, just copy and paste, make that 2034. And there you have it. All the formulas are copied over, and you can see here that it automatically escalates those values there. That is how simple it is. Things to remember, you only work with this column because this is your new financial year. And then you get that figure there. And then all you need to do here is to just change that reference to D, that first D. Change that S, which was the previous column, to the new present column. And it will then calculate the correct levy for you now for this year. You can see in 2024, we have no planned maintenance to do, but we still need to collect 137,000 for future maintenance, so that we have the money available to do those repairs, maintenance, and the replacements in those years. Any questions? That is basically how it works.
Not a question, but I just want to say thank you very, very much for explaining this. Our maintenance plan was definitely done wrong. and I will be redoing it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Just another thing. You can see you make provision every year, but it is not necessary every year to make provision. Let me just get something. For example, the post boxes that we've put up. I'm only going to have a look at that again in 2028. It costs us about 30,000 Rand when we did it. So I estimate, okay, if I have to replace it now, it's going to be 30,000 Rand 500. That is fine. It is not a huge amount. Even your batteries, you don't have to make provision every year. You can just say, every 3 years, I put in the full amount. So, for example, we make that 0, 0. And then, of course, I'm going to need 6,000 there. The full amount to do that. And then 1, 2, 3 years, again, every 3, 4 years, let's make it there. We're going to do it there. And then what you see is that it is escalated. By that time, it's going to cost you 7,900 to do. So you can put that one in there, make it 7,900. Enter, make that blue. And then I can make those 0. 0, 0. Okay, that's it. That's my 10-year maintenance plan.
Okay.
The current year, plan for the future, use your calculator to do the calculations for you. Very simple and easy. Your accumulated fund is calculated for you. All you need to work with is your cost estimate values that you need to frequently update. And this you can make more or less. As you get the experience, you see how the stuff deteriorates. You can change these figures there. And then when the year comes, this is the one that you work with. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tinus.
Okay, Mr. B, you're welcome.
Appreciate, yeah. But just before you go, Tinus, one more little question from me.
Yes.
The amount, the reserve amount, I know that according to legislation, it needs to be a certain percentage of the budget. Would you know how much percent?
No, because I don't work with percentages. I don't work with percentages because the real life doesn't work with percentages. This is what I need. If that
Tinus, if I can just come in there.
Yes.
I agree with you 100%. The thing that they had, I forget what it was, 15% or 25%. That was when the when the regulations first came in 2016.
Yes.
Or in fact, January 2017. That was only a makeshift thing until you got your 10-year plan up and running. But
Yes.
Once you got it up and running, you've obviously got to work with your actual estimates.
100%. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No. Thank you, sir. Congratulations, Tinus. You guys are way ahead. My unit, we only starting from about this year to have a working maintenance plan, which is not even in the correct format. Thank you so much, Tinus. Truly appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Well, it's my pleasure. If you use it, if you need some assistance, just give me a call and I will gladly help you with it. Thank you, Mr. B.
Thanks, Mike.
Also, Tinus, thank you very, very much for a very interesting presentation, and we will definitely use this.
Thank you very much, Tinus.
Okay, thanks, guys, and enjoy.
Okay, we will do. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.